Welcome back to another Wednesday Win Shot. I am Curtis. I am in the Jesse spot. I know that gives some of you PTSD, and I'm sorry. But Jesse is not here with us tonight because we're going to talk about something that Jesse, I don't say he has no interest in, but he has no experience with. So instead, I'm playing the Jesse role, and playing me is our good friend, Joe Gonzalez. Joe, how you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing very well. Hopefully, I'm not a bad consolation prize.
Oh,
I'm no
absolutely
Curtis
not.
Ackerman, but I'll do what I can.
Yeah, people will be glad to have you. It's just for some reason when Jesse and I aren't in our normal sides of the screen, it kind of throws some people off. So had to throw that apology out there first.
It ruins the pattern. Yeah.
Yeah. But Joe, you joined me for another Wednesday One Shot when we were talking about Halo, the series.
Yes, sir.
Which is based off of a video game. And this time we're actually going to talk about a video game itself. So we are talking about Baldur's Gate 3. Now, for me, Baldur's Gate 3 is the only one of those games that I've played. I absolutely love it. As with, any of these Wednesday One Shots, we're only talking about things that we're going to recommend. So we're typically not going to be too critical of them. But I absolutely love the game, but I did not play the others. And I know you have. So maybe if you could give the folks just a kind of a little bit of background on the series and, kind of your thoughts, throughout the different versions of it.
Yeah. I mean, I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, the tabletop game, when I was 15. When I was 18 years old, the original Baldur's Gate game came out, and role-playing games, what are classified as CRPGs nowadays, was kind of dead at the time. That we just weren't getting any. And Baldur's Gate came out and just revitalized the genre of role-playing games. And me being a D&D fan and a fan of video games, role-playing games, I just instantly fell in love with this game. So it's a story. The original two games are Baal, the god of murder, dies, and he inhabits women and they give birth to Baal spawn. I know it sounds funny nowadays, but at the time it wasn't nearly as comical. But your character is one of those, and you're on your path to find your way and resolve that issue throughout. Baldur's Gate came out in 1998, the original game, and then Baldur's Gate 2, that concluded that story, came out in the year 2000.
Okay.
And I think to this day, Baldur's Gate 2 is probably my favorite game of all time. It was just this massive game.
Yeah.
So then, when Baldur's Gate 3 was announced, it's one of those things where you're just like, I like Larian, because the original games were done by BioWare. Larian picked up the license. It's kind of like, it's a classic. Just leave it alone. They're never going to hit the scope and that kind of stuff. And I couldn't have been more wrong. Larian put all the right effort in and really did a fantastic job on Baldur's Gate 3. It is just a wonderfully immersive game.
Yeah. Like I don't normally play a lot of video games. In fact, I play very little. I used to play, I think through PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. It's about where I stopped. And then for several years, I played World of Warcraft on the computer, but I didn't play any other games. And, I was just late last year. You were talking about this game a lot. We had a couple other friends that were talking about it quite a bit. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it out. Let's, just see how this goes. And, so I picked up a PlayStation 5 and I bought that game, and immediately fell in love with it. I've never played D&D either. So, with no D&D background, no Baldur's Gate background, I wasn't too sure how it was going to go. And there was a little bit of a learning curve, just kind of figuring out, okay, what's going on and how do I unlock these things and how do I get past this door and how do I, save this person? There was a lot to kind of figure out. But the character creation is really cool. Like there's a ton of options, ton of different races, different classes that you can choose from. So that was really neat. And then, as you start the game, like almost immediately, like you have choices as you go through the game. It's not like one of these, like a side scrolling game or just kind of going from A to B and completing quest. Like you come across things and you have to make a decision on whether you're going to help this person or whether you're going to turn your back on this other person or whether you're going to attack somebody or whether you're going to try to become allies with them. And all of those choices have consequences in the game. From who is going to join your party and be a playable character to just kind of the direction that your group is going to go. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. And so I didn't, like, the first time through, I didn't really look up anything. I just kind of played through and kind of saw how it went. I did it on a lower difficulty. And I definitely missed a lot of content, including several like party members that are available to you. But pretty much as I was getting ready to complete my first run, I was already thinking about what I was going to do for my second run and what kind of character I was going to play and stuff. And it's one of those games that I think does have some replay ability to it. There's not an infinite number of different endings, but there's enough going on there that you can kind of play it different ways and make some different choices and stuff.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I noticed just between my son and myself, our playthroughs, we're making, we're playing good characters, making similar choices, but just a few small different decisions has really given each playthrough a different feel.
Mm-hmm.
So that, like I said, Larian really put the work in, and it's just there's just a million different directions you can take. Maybe they come back together towards the end for the ending, but as far as the playthrough goes, just what race you pick makes a difference on people's reaction to you and things that can happen. Your classes definitely do. I know you played a bard, and bards are kind of infamous
on my second go round. Yeah.
Bards are kind of infamous, in the community for having a lot of unique dialogue choices that they can do and things that are entertaining for them. I know that even now, because I'm on the Baldur's Gate 3 Reddit, people are still finding different ways to complete fights that,
really?
The game has been out for quite a while, and people are like, hey, I just tried this, and the fight went this other way and things like that. So they put so much effort into giving variety that if you wanted to play through it more than one time, a few different decisions could give you a very different feel.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had a few things on my first playthrough where like there was somebody that I needed to kill, but I killed them in the wrong time. Like I killed them earlier than I was supposed to, and it made like everybody in that area like hate me and want to kill me, which made it much more difficult. And then there was another part where I killed somebody and it drastically changed how the rest of the game went. And opened up like one part that was super difficult. And so then you got to try to figure out ways of getting through it and stuff. So but yeah, it's fun. And actually, as we're talking about it, I'm kind of getting excited about going and playing again.
Right.
So
same for me. Yeah, for sure. And I know the system, like it's based on the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition system.
Yeah.
But Larian was smart and took a lot of the rule system and kind of video gameized them. So that way they are more fun to play. Like, the monk class, for example, is not that great in the pen and paper version. They made it fantastic in the game. They tried to make it where there's no part of the games. Whatever you want to do, you can have fun doing it, which I think is very smart. They add a lot of variance to the spells, how spells function and things like that. Like being able to set a grease spell on fire, to create hazardous terrain and things like that. That's not stuff that's in the official rules, but they threw it in, and it's a lot of fun. That was something Larian was famous for. They did 2 games previous to Baldur's Gate called Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of stuff was a big part of those games. So it's neat that they added it into Baldur's Gate just to make it a lot of fun. You can actually play around with spells and find, spells or special abilities and find fun new ways, even if you're familiar with the pen and paper game, that they can work, so there's a lot of different ways to have fun in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't have any D&D background, so like getting used to all the different roles and the bonuses for your roles and different character abilities and how that would help you in certain ways. All that stuff was very unfamiliar to me, so it was fun to kind of pick up and learn that. And then when I hear you or Jesse or somebody actually talk about D&D, it's like at least I have some sort of frame of reference, because of Baldur's Gate. So, we usually try to keep this to about 15 minutes. We're already at 11. Before we close it out, though, anybody that gets into this, you got any kind of quick tips or advice that you'd give somebody going into this game?
I think I'll give kind of standard advice for role-playing games, CRPGs in general, is if you're not familiar with the system, a lot of people are intimidated because the rule systems are complex or there's a lot to them. Don't be afraid to start the game on a lower difficulty just to get some familiarity with it. The main draw of these games is the stories. If you got to play on an easy mode for a while until you get used to it, you can increase the difficulty at any time. And I think that increases the fun. That way you're not constantly frustrated with losing battles while you're trying to get familiar with the system. That's always a big one that I tell people about any RPGs. And do a little bit of research, look up some classes. There's tons of information online on the different classes. Like me, I'm a big Paladin fan because I enjoy role-playing that type of character, but it's also a really strong class. Some of the classes are stronger than other classes, so it doesn't hurt to do a little bit of research, and until you get familiar with the system, find out what skills and feats and things like that are the right ones to take starting off. But if you just give it a chance and give yourself a chance to learn it, you're gonna have fun. These games are great.
Yeah, and I know there's it's available on different systems. You can have it on your computer, PlayStation. I think it's available on Xbox too, right?
Yes.
So I'm not sure what the differences are amongst those. The one piece of advice that I would have for folks is, there is an auto save option, and you can also manually save. And there are certain choices that you can make in the game that could just immediately end the game. And so it's nice to have that backup. But my advice would be, don't lean on that as a crutch and just restart because you didn't get a certain outcome that you thought was desirable. Because I'll tell you, much like in life, sometimes what you think might be the desirable result is actually not the one that's going to end up best for you. So just play it through. And if you win a roll, you win a roll. If you lose it, you lose it. Because, after playing Baldur's Gate, we actually, Joe, we sat down and we played a small game of D&D. And I realized, hey, like these roles are important, and the choices have consequences. And if you're just saving and going back and doing it again until you get the result you want, you're cheating yourself out of what that adventure could be, what that storyline could be. Yeah. So that would be my advice, is that, go ahead and save. And in the case that it's going to just end your game, go ahead and try something different. But if it's just, you wanted your role to go this way and instead it went that way, and now you got to figure out something else, try to play it through, see what happens.
So. They actually added a new mode to the game called Honor Mode that doesn't allow save scumming. You can't.
Oh, nice.
I think you can only save at camp.
Gotcha.
So, it prevents you, because in the normal version of the game, you're right, you can even save during dialogue. So right before you make a die roll, you can quick save it in the dialogue and keep reloading until you get the result that you want. And Honor Mode doesn't allow that. So, and it can be fun. They put a lot of work into the failures. There are some things, you know, that play out that maybe you wouldn't expect, but end up being pretty darn cool that the developers put that much work into failure.
Nice.
Just so that you can still have something interesting happen even when things don't go your way.
Right.
So,
well, I would say just, you know, folks, if you're into D&D or you've ever been interested in trying D&D, this might be a way for you to kind of get, you know, your feet wet a little bit in what, you know, those kind of rules are and how the gameplay works. Or if you just want a really cool video game to kind of dive yourself into, it's a very immersive world with a lot of, you know, different adventure options. And it's just a ton of fun. So, yeah, that's our recommendation. Joe, you got any final words on that?
Just, you know, if you're a fan of the originals, Jaheira and Minsk make appearances in the game, as well as some other characters from the originals, which is really cool. And I guess just to finish things off, I'll say, go for the eyes, boo, go for the eyes. I can't do the hamster squeak though.
That's cool. We will see you next time for the next Wednesday Win Shot. Thanks a lot.